All right, looks like we are live. This is Frantic Romantic presents Hanging with the Friends, episode number 9. Tonight we have Daniel from Aris tonight. Good friend of mine for a lot of years. Utopian Pipe Dream, yeah, right? Wet Bandits. Man, I don't know. You've had a ton of projects over the years. I don't know if you mind kind of talking to a little bit about your projects, dude.
A little about my projects. Yeah, I've been doing the music thing with my friends since like high school, but it all started off hip hop, listening to rap and writing raps, and then just busting on instrumentals. And then my good buddy Josh Hernandez, he lived a couple houses down, and he wanted to do a talent show, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, dude, I know you like to rap and stuff, like you want to do this part on the song for us? It's like a rap core song." And when I was in junior high, I was really into rock and like alternative rock and stuff. So I did play with the guitar and stuff, but I didn't really pursue it. So he asked me to try out or do the talent show with him, and then we did Engine Number 9 by the Deftones.
Deftones, sick, yeah.
So that got me into the scene, or into like new metal and all that. And yeah, it just went from there. I did a song with him at the talent show, and then we had a project going. And in those days, we had Mike Madrigal from Far From You playing with us,
right.
Josh Hernandez, and then my buddy Anthony, who went on with me to Utopian Pipe Dream. So it went from there, dude. And then from there, we built our cool little music scene that we had in the late 90s, early 2000s. And
yeah.
We had such a strong community, and I feel appreciative to have grown up around all my fellow homie musician friends and stuff. It was a nice teenage young adult life,
Right. It was like such a cool environment, right? Because you'd go to like house parties and they'd be cracking, and there was like a ton of people that we all knew there. Even if we didn't say we're gonna go see you at a party or whatever, we would just see everybody at the parties, dude. Like, it's crazy. I remember you made a comment once at one of the parties that I threw at my house, where you were like, "Man, you guys can't pay $5 at a Gaslighter show, but y'all pack a backyard. It's cool."
Oh yeah, especially when you're young. Yeah, but back in those days, $20 was for a weekend, and I'm sure the kids would rather use it on something else other than coming to a show. Right, but yeah, you're right. And I thought it was pretty cool because like there was Mount Pleasant kids, and then there's the James Lake kids, and the Overfelt kids, and then Andrew Hill, and then jumped all the way to the west side, the Lincoln kids, and Piedmont kids, and then Willow Glen, man. And it's just like, it became a community itself, and we'd see each other at parties, and it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool.
Right. It was like, for me personally, I wouldn't trade growing up in another era. You know what I mean? I'm sure there was a lot of cool things that happened in the 80s, right? Because I'm a big 80s fan. Yeah. 60s and everything. But I think it was real unique. Like, you hit it right on the head. It was like that new metal, but there was a lot of like ambient stuff that people were really getting into too. And that influenced a lot of what all of us did, what we're still doing now.
Yeah. So,
you mentioned Deftones. There's a ton of groups like that,
Mm-hmm. They're like they spoke for our generation in this area.
Totally.
I think a lot of it has to do too is with the whole Chino being half Chicano and half Japanese. As in our community, there's a lot of us Mexican Americans here, so it was something that we identified with, and I think that's what with a lot of us who started doing music, it was definitely a big influence in it. And it pushed us to want to do those kind of things. So it's pretty cool, and grateful for that too.
Right. I feel like you kind of see, for me, I felt like I saw somebody that I could identify with, somebody that had made it in like the mainstream music scene. And I felt like it was possible to do that, to not just look like a certain way. Like, you could just be yourself, and it was cool,
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. It was pretty cool, man.
Definitely. Excuse me. Real quick, for everybody just joining us, we're here with Daniel Daniels, the vocalist for the band Aris, which is located in San Jose, California. Welcome to the show, Daniel. For our viewing audience out there, please do ask us questions. Ask questions for Daniel specifically, and we'd love to pose these questions to him on the show.
Well, speaking of which, we do got a question from Josh Torres over here. He's like, sing Mexican Princess. I don't know what that means.
Dude, that's old school UPD.
Yeah,
Damn,
he's referring to a song I wrote in a song of ours from high school. So Josh really wanted to just chime in to embarrass me. Thanks. So yeah,
I remember that
was
jam,
one of
dude.
our,
I had a bootleg of that back in the days.
It was like the boy band rap rock song. You know what I'm saying? So
I remember seeing you singing it, and you'd stick your hand out, to the Mexican princess, all the Mexican princesses in the crowd,
Yeah. Definitely. I still get it all the time. So, it's like, it'll always forever be a part of me that people will bring it up, just to bust my balls. But it's cool, man.
That's cool though, right?
Remember though.
Yeah, definitely, man.
That's awesome. What do you call it? I remember Adam, when he was playing with you guys in UPD, hitting me up and saying, "Hey, can you give a crack at this song to figure out how to play it?" Because it was kind of hard to hear the rhythm that was going on, because it was a little more complex than some of the other jams, and I couldn't figure it out, man. So I remember you guys stopped playing it when Adam started playing with you guys.
Yeah, we just ended up getting rid of it. It was one of those things where I had a crush and I just wrote a song about her, and the real most cheesiest way you can do it, and then it just the song stuck around a lot longer than the crush did, so
right
it is what it is though.
You have to use your powers of like writing and creativity to do stuff like that, especially when you're a kid. That's what's beautiful about writing, you know what I mean? There's no right or wrong when you're a kid, you're figuring it out, and that's like a nice memory, I'm sure, right? Like you said, it was a crush when you were young, and as an adult you can look at that and like chuckle about that,
Oh yeah. You can go back to it. So, man, it's timeless, man. I guess in a way,
I know Zeke would always run into us at those parties too back in the days. I mean, they were going on all the time, and I never felt like there was any beef between anybody. Everybody was just kind of cool because we were just there to listen to music, to play music, to hang out.
Yeah, there was always unity, man. Like I said, we're grateful to grow up with all the other high schools around us, and a lot of my friends that are super tight friends now are friends that I met through that community of local scene, bro. And yeah, it's pretty cool that like there was never any like problems. I mean, when we're young, yes, we're competitive and we get into our ways, but like there was never any like harmful. We didn't want no beef with nobody, and we always wanted to keep the harmony at parties and stuff because we're there for a good reason,
Well, with that said, have you ever been in a situation where you've had a rival band?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like being a teenager, you're just full of all this, like, I don't know, I guess you always want to prove something, and then like you have fallouts with other band members you used to play with, or you just can be rivals, but it never was personal. It's just always like we got to try to one up them if we can. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it came with it, and I feel like there was a big break from when I was doing music young until when I got back with Adam and after UPD, the Wet Bandits.
Right.
I felt like that time around there was more sense of community because we were older now. We're all settled down and chill. So I felt like once we had that second chance to make this happen, which is a beautiful thing now, it's amazing right now. When we had that second chance, it seems like everyone put that kind of animosity aside, and it's like we're all adults, man, and we all love doing our passion, which is music. It might not pay the bills, but it's our creative outlet, and let's help each other. Let's boost each other rather than keep each other down. Yeah. So I've liked this second run around a lot more than the first run.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah.
I think once you exit your early 20s, that kind of thing just sort of goes out the window, I mean, people are especially angsty when they're teenagers, but I think the residual angst from like the age of 20 to whatever, 23, but by the time you're, 24 or 25, you're just like, oh, I'm an adult now and whatever, everything's cool.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I feel like maybe there's like a sense of like resisting because you're in the transition, you know what I mean? You're transitioning from when you were being a kid, you had probably less responsibilities, not everybody, but probably less responsibilities, right? And all of a
Oh,
sudden
yeah.
you see this mountain coming at you, or this freaking Mack truck called life just rushing at you. So you start
Yeah.
displacing some of those feelings towards your peers, towards other people, because you don't know what you're going to do. Then you end up on the other side and you're like, man, whatever. There was nothing. You know, it's just,
Yeah.
it's pointless to be
Yeah.
beefing with anybody, you know?
Exactly. As a grown adult, and, you know, so
Right.
yeah, like I said, I really enjoy it now. It's all love, man. And it's been a hell of a ride. Unfortunately, everything's on pause right now, but
Right.
once we can get back to it, which I'm thinking is next year, I mean, it's going to be fun again, you know, so just got to hunker down and just deal with what we got to deal with until we get there.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. We talked to Michael and Eric a few episodes ago, but I would love to hear your perspective on kind of like how Aris came together and sort of like what you guys are about, you know?
Okay. Aris came together with me and Eric. We had played together in the Wet Bandits. And then after the Wet Bandits project, we decided to try to get something going. And I want to say it took a good 3 years until we found like the right pieces, you know. And we tried out people, and then we had projects that were almost ready to launch. And then just somehow, man, we just kept catching like rough patches of bad luck, and just it never happened, you know. And then finally, you know, this came together, and it was me, Eric, Jerry Sanchez was playing with us, and then Mike and Victor, and then Mike, and then shoot, dude, it took probably about a year to get our chemistry going, and then we started like just hitting on cylinders, man. And like it's been a hell of a ride, man. So I think that's my point of view of how it started, but it might be a little off of it. So, but yeah.
I mean, I think that's kind of the general feeling. That's roughly kind of what Mike and Eric were telling us about too. You know, that's kind of how it went. That it was really, once you guys felt the chemistry was right in the room, you guys knew you got something, you know?
Yeah. So like, and then eventually, you know, Jerry ended up doing his own thing, and then, you know, Vic stepped up, and it was his first time being in the lead role as a guitar player, man, you know, and guy's gifted, and you know, we gave him all the confidence in the world, and man, he's come like he's grown so much, dude, and he's taken on the role really well, you know.
It's crazy hearing you say that he wasn't in the lead role, because I can't imagine him in any other position. You know what I mean? It's just that guy's just like an explosion of music waiting to happen all the time.
Oh yeah,
you know?
man, he's amazing, man. So
and it's really tasteful too. Like it's not just like doing leads or whatever just to do them to show off. It's never like that. It's super tasteful. It's always complimenting to the music, you know?
Yeah. Vic's man, I don't know how to explain Vic, but you know, that kid's got a lot of skill, man, and he's gifted, man. So I'm blessed to be working with him, you know?
Yeah, man. I describe him like as like a force of nature almost, man, because it's crazy. You know, you walk in to seeing you guys play, and it's like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah, man. I definitely had to step up myself in order to just keep up with these guys. You know, they're just all amazing guys, and they're all dedicated to their craft, you know? And it was like a marathon, man, and I was in last place, and it took me a long time to, you know, just be able to catch up to them and do what they do, or not do what they do, but be able just to keep up with them and be able to write with them. So, you know, it made me better in the long run as well, because it put me in places I wasn't comfortable being in as, you know, as a singer. So it's pretty cool.
That's good though. You know, I mean, you all seem like really cool guys. I can imagine, you know, it's a really good support system that you guys have within the band, you know? There's this phrase that stuck with me with one of our guests, our first guest, actually, his name's Dennis Willis, but he always said, you know, if you're the smartest person in the room, then find a new room. Right.
Yeah.
And that's always just stuck with me ever since he said that. It's like, man, that makes so much sense. It's like you want to be with people that are gonna elevate you. So that's awesome that you guys do that.
Oh, definitely. I feel like you can never stop learning, right? Just in general in life. Once you stop learning, you're dead.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
and it's a learning lesson every time I step in there with those guys. So I'm grateful for that.
It's cool.
So,
You know, I was going to ask you, with your guys' EP that you guys put out,
uh-huh.
I could totally hear that sound. I could totally hear you guys working together. You're all bringing your elements. How different is the new stuff you guys working on?
You know, that EP came out roughly a year after we had already recorded it. So when that came out, I already felt like the songs that we had on that EP, we've gotten so much tighter on those, and it kind of sounds different than what we recorded.
Yeah.
So once we got that going, we started writing again, and then we noticed that our styles were changing and everything, and there was just so much growth since. What I'm trying to say is there's so much growth since we recorded that EP, and we've taken it in a different direction, I guess.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, from my point of view, I feel a lot of it has to do with the influence of like the bands around us. You know, everyone's into like tone chasing right now, or that's just what it is here, and it's amazing, dude, to hear like all those delays and all those effects. You know.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've been like the newest stuff we've come up with is basically a reflection of a lot of the bands that we played with around here, you know. And it's just it went from, you know, it's just, I don't know, I just feel like San Jose kind of has like this feel or sound, and it's really dreamy. And so like our new stuff is pretty dreamy, but then we have one heavy hitter. It's still in production right now, and it's like very metal. And I was begging for a metal song for like a couple years now, and Vic's finally filled that void. He's not 100% sure about it yet, but like I'm gonna convince him that it's the right thing to do too. So
hey, you got to have one in there, man. You got to have one that just.
You got to have a heavy hitter, man.
Yeah.
And like I feel it's coming with this next round of songs that we're gonna record.
Nice.
I'm sure. I mean, there's also something in the atmosphere right now, right? That can be said, you know, with what's going on just in general in society. That's brewing some of those feelings. That's brewing some of that energy for something metal, you know? At least a little bit.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Like, we probably haven't rehearsed that song because of the whole COVID thing.
Right.
But like once we get back to it, like, especially with, you know, the current climate, yeah. It's gonna hit hard, man. So yeah, we're ready to pour it all out into our music.
It's good.
We got another we got another question from the audience, Mr. Josh Torres again. He's asking, what's your favorite area song currently?
What's my favorite what?
What's your favorite song that your band is you know, playing?
Oh, my favorite song as a band. Man, my favorite song we don't even really play anymore. It's Bridges.
I love that song.
It's a really good song.
It's a short song, but it's a good one. It's one of my favorites. So I'm gonna say that one's one of my favorites. But the one I really do enjoy playing is Kiss Cut Bleed. That's my favorite one. It's the first song we wrote. So
that's dope. That reminds me a little bit of like the Used, just a little bit when I hear that.
Oh yeah.
That's a good thing, man. It's a compliment. Totally.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of raw emotion in that song, you know. There's a lot of feeling, there's a lot of the stuff I write is based on actual like events I've went through. If not me, it's influenced by events that are things that my friends go through too. So yeah, but that one's a real personal one, so I put it all out there on that one. Thanks, Josh, for asking.
What tends to be your writing process? Are you solely the lyrics writer, or does the whole band write the lyrics?
I'm solely the lyrics writer for the band.
Cool.
My writing style is basically like going back to like when I used to listen to hip hop. I used to have to listen to a beat, and then back then I just listen to a beat and then I start flowing, right? And then I try to get 16 bars written. Yeah. So I kind of transitioned that into a band. It's like I do have stuff pre-written, but like when the guys come to practice and they got something going, I try to ask like, what are they feeling? But most of the time most of the time they're like, I just write, because they're musicians, they write. And so it's like I got to get a feel for it, so I have to get the bones of it. They record it, and then I go home with it, and then I just listen to it over and over again, get my melodies going, and then I go meet up with them. I practice my melodies, and then after that, if they approve of my melodies and stuff and my harmonies and all that, then I just go home and start writing to it. So it's totally like backwards, but it's just the way I've always written,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah.
It's taking the musical approach first and then fitting it to words, right?
Yeah. I want them to do the magic, man, and I want to do whatever I can to just to make it sound great, be on their level. So
yeah,
that's how I write.
That's cool. Sometimes you gotta like Brian Wilson out by yourself, kind of isolate with the music, to tap into some of that stuff, if it's dark, if it's painful, if it's whatever, that's some of the best music,
Yeah, but to be honest, on our new one that we're gonna, once we get out of this situation, we get back in the studio, 2 of the songs that we wrote, like we literally legit wrote on the spot, and that was a new process for me too. So I was able to like just start writing lyrics on the spot because I just felt it at the moment. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah, it's a different approach, so I'm excited about that too.
But it's sort of like the song will have like an inherent energy about it, right? It'll probably come through in the song like, oh shit, there's like just this spontaneous energy that you can feel in the song,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
How about you? How's your process when it comes to writing as a singer?
Well, for us, we have multiple lyric writers.
Okay.
So, I definitely want Ruben to chime in as well, and Zeke and
cool.
Rick, actually.
Nice.
We all have been writing stuff. For me, I definitely am not, I'm less of a musician, right? I know a little bit of guitar and I know a little bit of synth, but not really enough to put stuff together. So I leave that to the much more talented folks. But I'll be given a track, and I do need to listen to it over and over again by myself. And really just like, if someone gives me an angry song, I kind of have to wait until I have a bad day, right?
There you go.
To write for that song. Or like, if they give me a love song, then, I take a look at my significant other, and then it inspires me to write a love song, right? So I mean, I think it really you gotta let the emotions come to you, right? To be authentic with what you're writing, and a lot of times it's just sort of like, I'll be sitting there sometimes for a month being like, man, I have no idea what to write about, and then something happens, and it's just like, oh shit, okay, yeah, this is what this song's gonna be about. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like, you can't rush that process.
Right.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
If you ain't feeling it, you just walk away from it and come back the next day and try again,
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, just listening to music in general, right? I mean, sometimes like leaning into whatever, like leaning into the Beach Boys or leaning into whatever, Afghan Wigs or something, right? And it's like, oh shit, I've been like, really digging Jamiroquai lately. Maybe I'll throw in some Jamiroquai tendencies. So yeah.
That's dope.
To be honest, with all this quarantine and shelter in place, I thought having a couple months off of work, oh man, I'm gonna get to write, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but it didn't come out. It didn't feel natural.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
And I just couldn't force it, And then, it just comes and goes. You just ride the wave. When you feel it, you feel it. You write it on the spot. Like you said, you were writing those songs just on the spot real quick because you felt it. You felt it that moment. I wish I could control it, but it doesn't work that way.
You can't.
Nah, nobody can, man.
Yeah, there's this thing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like the Akashic, the Akashic record, right?
Uh-huh.
It's basically this idea that there's like, everything that's ever been discovered or thought of or whatever, it exists. It's already somewhere, right? It's like in this like mystic plane, and you're just like an antenna. You're a receptor. You're just, some nights you could just be very receptive to that, and it's already there, and you're just bringing it to life. For me, I feel like that's kind of the way music comes to me. Like, I can't get an assignment like in school, right? And then just do that. Like that to me doesn't feel it feels very forced. Like, I feel like something needs to kind of speak to me, and then I'll follow that. You know what I mean? It's like that becomes a rabbit hole that then I start chasing until I get the song done. You know?
Yeah.
And like you said, Zeke, it'll come in waves, right? Like there's some days where I'll write 2, 3 songs, 4 songs, like back to back, and then I won't do anything for months. You know?
Yeah, we hit brick walls, man. It sucks. But
Totally.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is even on like a very professional level, you can kind of tell when a band is feeling uninspired. You know, you'll listen to an album and be like, yeah, you can just tell that something.
They're phoning it in, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I personally don't want to do that, right? Like,
same.
If I'm not vibing to write on something, like, you know, or whatever, then I'll wait until the inspiration's there, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Hey, Tool does it. They release albums like every 10 years. So
every 10 years, dude.
Don't rush the process, man.
Rick,
that's crazy.
What up, buddy?
We want to know your process.
Yeah.
For writing?
Yeah.
Most of it just happens like in the shower, to be honest.
Hey.
You know, that's when I usually have like quiet time. There's nobody distracting me, and most of it starts from a rhythm, and then the melodies fall into place over the top of the rhythm. Bass lines will actually generally come in, and then it's determining whether or not that melody that pops in my head is a bass line or if it's an actual melody for a keyboard or a guitar. And then you find those little counter melodies that sit on top of it, and that's usually where the vocals are. So,
you know, just recently in this process, because we've been doing a lot of writing in general, getting ready for, you know, for Shelter in Place. We were like, okay, let's try and write whatever we can. I know you penned some lyrics, Rick, and that, you know, that process. How was that, dude?
Well, okay, so I thought it was like super easy if we wanted to, just to allow everything to be really dark, right? But I wanted to stay on that. The lyrics I wrote were intentionally acknowledging how dark things are, but how do we stay away from that? You know, how do we go in the positive direction? Because it's easy to get sucked down. And I mean, I just don't want something that people hear what I say and it just makes them more depressed. I want it to be something that resonates and it's like, yeah, you know what, this actually, you know, I feel it, but I really don't want to just go negative. I don't want to be dark all the time. And that's where that set of lyrics came from. So, yeah. I can't always be like the happy optimistic, you know, but I also don't want to be completely dark and like, you know, I would not want somebody to go, oh my God, he wrote another real downer song lyrics. And no.
You know what's awesome about that is having the different perspectives, I think, keeps from having that happen. When I was younger, I would be the primary like lyricist, and my wife would be like, fuck, dude, that's like really depressing. Like, change it up a little bit, you know? And being able to have different people writing, I think, helps that, you know? And then also in my approach then to another song, I'll think, this song fits like something that Michael would write, but I'm just going to stick to the music and just 100% own the music, you know? And I think that's cool. That's a cool dynamic to have in a band, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome, man. I definitely need to stop being selfish and let the boys help me with that process as well. You know,
I don't think it's selfish of it. I think it's what works right now, at least. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you guys are all talented in general, and I'm sure if that comes up, it'll be organic, right? Because your guys' music sounds super organic.
Thank you.
Process the way it is, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So we got a couple more questions from the audience. Mr. Josh Torres. Once the pandemic, all crazy. Once the pandemic is over, what venue would you most like to play?
Once the pandemic is over.
Yeah. Gaslighter? Is it the Cactus Club, or is it the blank?
Oh, I finally we finally got to play the Ritz in February. The main
within
stage.
the end.
Nice.
Yeah.
Within the end, and
That's
that
cool.
was our first time playing the main stage at the Ritz, and that felt great. So it'd be pretty cool to have play the Ritz again, you know. That'd be cool. And then, you know, my heart's always with the Caravan. I love the fucking Caravan, dude. That's our home, man. It just feels great when you play there. So Caravan and the Ritz, you know. So.
Josh
That's
says
awesome.
the Shoreline. He wants you guys to play at the Shoreline.
We'll play at Lake Cunningham. Throw
Lake
party.
Cunningham. I remember they used to offer shows at Lake Cunningham back in the days.
Yeah, I think they might be doing them at the skate park. Not like official shows, but I heard they have bands play there during some events. That'd be pretty cool to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we got a couple more questions. Carlos, he's asking if you guys do any Spanish covers or are planning to do anything.
No, we don't do any Spanish covers. It's kind of tough, but I definitely would like to write a song in Spanish, you know, but no, we don't have any covers or Spanish ones. I love
By the way, sorry, with the audience, you're killing it with the questions. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely keep the questions coming.
Cool.
Eric's asking, what was the first album you went out to buy with your own money growing up?
Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusions.
Oh, man.
Number 2.
That's cool.
Yep. That's the first album I ever bought.
It's a good way to start.
That was a double album?
Yeah.
I think 2 was better than 1, right? If I remember
I
correctly.
like 2 better
I
than
like
number
2
1.
better.
Yeah.
I like 2 better as well.
2 was better.
Except for that very last song. What was that very last song where it was like Axl Rose?
Oh, it was rapping thing.
Yeah.
My world.
My World. Yeah, it was.
Was that it?
Yeah.
How obscure.
You wanna
That's
step into
cool.
my-
That's remembered.
Yeah, you want to step into my world, the social psychotic state of bliss.
Right. Yeah. I was watching.
Social psychotic. That was it.
I happened to be watching a video today that like reminded me of that, where it's just like because it was a video on like 10 bad songs on otherwise great albums, and then it referenced that. It referenced My World just randomly. But yeah, anyways, good album.
Daniel's like, that was my favorite song on the album. Interview over.
No, I actually don't remember that song, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
So
interview
I think
over.
those guys, they left no demos at the studio. I think those 2 albums were like, let's put it all out there. Warts and all.
Mm-hmm.
Warts and all, right?
Yeah, man.
What's everyone's first album that they bought? Go.
Oh God.
Shit.
Mine was in utero. I was like super stoked. I went to it wasn't even a Sam Goody. It was like this generic, it was probably like a Warehouse Music, or I don't know what it was. But
Where was
I was
it?
super stoked. It was right there on McKee and fucking Capitol.
That's Star Records.
Star Records,
man.
Dude, I was all stoked. I went to Star
That was
Records. took the
legendary,
bus.
dude.
Yeah. And
That's
I got
more for
Utero
hip
off
hop
cassette.
though.
What was that?
Dang. That was more known for hip hop and rap, but yeah, Star Records, dude.
Star Records, yeah. That's where I got all my shit back in the days, man. You know, I would go and get, I mean, it was like the grunge era, and I was buying all this shit there. They had a rack, you know? If I couldn't find it there, I'd walk down the street to Kmart and fucking get it there, you know?
Oh shoot, yeah, that's cool, man. Hell yeah. I do remember Star Records.
Yeah.
I think for me, I bought the Wu-Tang album, the 36 Chambers.
Dope.
I think that was,
Sick.
It's a good start. Yeah.
That's a great
good
start right there.
I got started pretty late. I remember it was 8th grade. It was like at the end of the 90s, I think maybe the year 2000. And I bought 2 CDs. And since then, I've always bought 2 CDs just because of that. But one of them was Californication by Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I still love. But the other one was the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack. And boy, oh boy, what a crazy ride that soundtrack is. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Limp Bizkit was on it, right?
Yeah. I remember the movie, but I don't remember the music.
That had Chris Cornell, too, right?
It did. That was my introduction to Soundgarden, yeah, which I'm thankful for. But, yeah, that soundtrack, man, does not hold up. Neither does the movie.
That dude who was in it, the villain, was supposed to be Wolverine, I remember.
Right.
He dropped out of X-Men to fucking do Mission Impossible 2, right?
Well, the funny thing is that...
Because that was
like,
the right career choice to make, you know?
That dude's like 6 feet tall.
Well,
Like-
so is Hugh Jackman, right?
Well, that's
You know?
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he? I thought like Hugh Jackman looks like he's 5'8", like 5'6".
No, he's like 6'2", I think, or something like that. He's a tall
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Not
All right.
Wolverine size at all. Yeah, that did not translate. You know?
Okay, yeah, that's what I mean. Because I thought Wolverine was small.
Do you
He's
know
like
who,
five-
5'3". Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 5'3". Yeah, he's a little dude.
do you know who was considered for really early casting to play Wolverine?
Danzig.
Danzig.
Fucking Danzig. That's what I heard. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah, Danzig.
Wow.
Clint
would've been
Eastwood
cool.
was another person they considered, right?
What's that?
Clint Eastwood was another person they considered in the 90s.
Oh
Like the
wow.
early
Oh,
90s.
really?
I
Yeah.
could picture that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, back then, no one really had a good sense of like superhero movies in the mainstream other than like the Superman movies like Christopher Reeves did back in the
Right.
days and
that's
like the Batman movies that were super successful, you know, that Tim Burton did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are my favorite ones, dude.
Yeah, those were dope, dude.
I don't like this dark era Batman. I don't like Bale. I'm a Michael Keaton Batman fan for sure.
That is.
Danny DeVito, I'm all about that Danny DeVito, man.
yeah.
But I'm just a huge Danny DeVito fan, you know?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing, dude. Hell yeah.
I saw that petition for him to play Wolverine, and I'm all about that, man. I'm all about that.
Let him do it. I'm for it.
He'll just have to
I'll
body build.
I'll go see that movie 3 times in the theater, man. Coronavirus or not, I'll do it.
You can go to the drive-in. The drive-in's open.
Right, yeah. I live right across the street from the drive-in, so
Oh,
I
there
gotta
you
do
go.
right.
You gotta do it.
Rick, what was your first album?
God, that's a hard one because I was probably like 85, and that may have been. You could be talking something like I know I had some records, so I don't know which one I bought first, really, but I'm sure the Thriller album was in there. I know I had a DeBarge, that old DeBarge hit that they had, so I bought that whole record for one song. Mr. That I think that came out probably like 86, so I didn't get it then. Top Gun soundtrack, I got that one
nice.
too. So
Top Gun.
Classic.
yeah, it's hard for me to figure out which one was the first one. I mean, I know my first CD, that was Mr.
Okay.
But I was still in the era of tapes and some vinyl, you know, in that first go around. So
Okay.
I don't remember which was actually my first like album that I got. I do remember the first CD was Mr. Welcome to the Real World.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And then I got introduced to rock and metal in the late 80s, so then it was all downhill from there.
That's what's up. That's cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was super hesitant to switch to CDs. It must have been the year 2002 or 3 when I finally started saying, okay, I'll get CDs now, you know? I had like so many cassettes, and I was like, fuck that. I'm not switching formats, you know? Like, I paid money for these, man, you know? I don't care if it worked, you know?
I just couldn't afford to keep buying tapes. You know, I was like, yeah, and I we just didn't have a record player anymore. Otherwise, that would be it. But
Yeah.
once I heard like these CDs are indestructible, I mean, I still have that Mr. CD. You know,
Dope.
yeah, it's the original pressing, and it's like
Wow, that's cool.
still plays just as well. So it really became an economics thing because you, as a kid, you don't have a lot of money. So when you do buy
Right.
something, you better make it count. Not,
Right.
Take care
you know,
of it.
oh
Take care
crap!
of it.
I left it in the car and it got all warped, and it, you know, I don't have a pencil to suck it back into the cassette.
The cassette, right? The little screw thing, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Or crap! There was a magnet next to it, and it's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, I always had that one friend that destroyed everything I let him borrow. I think you know Mark Joseph, right, Daniel? Dude, everything I let that guy borrow, destroyed, dude. I was like, just bought something, about to go in my house. He's like, oh, can I borrow that? And, you know, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to be a jerk. And I'd never get it back, you know?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. MJ's one of my buds, man.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah. I think I was that friend that always messed up things on my end.
Same. Yeah.
What about you, Zeke? What was the first album you bought with your own money?
Oh yeah, it was the Wu-Tang. It was a Wu-Tang.
Oh yeah, we already.
But speaking of friends, man, I used to let my friends borrow stuff, and then I would get in their car like a week later, and I'd find a CD on the floor, And I'd be
Dude, that would
saying,
piss me off.
ain't that shit mine? He's like, oh yeah, I lost the cover. My bad. I'll buy you another one. I'm like,
God.
oh, I just got that.
Dude, that
got
shit used to
Wu-Tang
piss me off.
Yeah.
Terrible, man.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. We got 2 questions. The first one is, what do you like personally about your own music? And the second one, which band breakup kind of was the hardest for you to get over? I don't know if you want to answer that question, but
Okay, so the first one was what? Repeat the first one again. I'm sorry.
What do you like best about the music that you're putting out at the moment? Like the collaboration, or just the feel of it, or just your lyrics are more advanced now because you're older,
Yeah, I think the whole older thing. I think not to call it my prime or anything, but I feel I'm proud of all the projects I've been in. I loved every project I've been in, and with this one, it's just on another level. Like, I'm just very, very happy about the people. I'm always been happy about the people around me, but I'm just like, I'm in the direction I wanted to go musically, because I started off with rap rock, hip hop, and then like like party music, and now I'm doing what I wanted to do creatively. So it makes me really happy to work with these guys. But don't get me wrong, every project was amazing. I loved working with everyone. I had greatest times with everybody. But I just feel like this is my masterpiece with these guys, and it took all those projects to build me to who I am now, and I'm appreciative of that. But this is like, I'm happy right here. I've always been happy, but like right here. Sorry guys, I'm a little stoned too, so bear with me.
We're hanging with the friends, man. It's all good.
A musician stoned? What?
What?
No, right.
I'd never, right? Yeah.
But
Cool,
yeah.
man.
But
And then the second question was,
second question was, which band breakup hurt the most, or you still kind
all of them do, because it's like I always say, like when you're in a band, it's like having relationships with four people, and it's like when a breakup happens, it's always hard, And every project that I moved from or I left, it hurt, And then there was always that shaky ground with them, like you're still boys with them and everything, but there's always that like shit. It's it's kind of fresh, you got to give me some space, vice versa, And then it's like it takes a while to get over, and then after that, once it's all over and everything, you're back to being A1s, man, and it's pretty cool. So like every band breakup hurt a lot, So yeah.
All right, well, let's turn this around. Let's make it a little bit more on a happier, funnier note. Tell us about crazy audition stories.
Crazy audition stories.
Oh yeah.
I only have one, and it wasn't crazy, but this dude came to try out for bass, and he was like, he looked like he was wearing like the Jinko pants that we used to wear back in the days.
Oh shit! Yeah.
He kind of had the look of Kenny from Can't Hardly Wait. I don't know if you guys remember that movie.
Yeah.
Kenneth, the hip hop kid. So he came through, and then his bass was all the way down to his knees, and I'm like, oh man, this is not gonna go good, dude.
This wasn't an older guy, was it?
Nah, I want to say he was in his like mid 20s.
This wasn't Josh Torres, was it? No, I'm
Was he all crazy?
Nah, he was better than Josh Torres.
What? Oh shit!
No, I just like to bust his balls. I love Josh.
I love Josh too, man. Yeah.
So we try to show this guy our music, and then like he didn't seem interested in it, and then like I was like, all right, well this, let's see how you do on this song or this song, and he really didn't try. And then out of nowhere, he's like, hey man, let's just jam. Let's just like bust some beats. I'm like, all right, cool. And then he started like, doing hip hop beats, and then I started flowing and everything. And then like, he's like, did you record that? I'm like, yeah. And he was like, that's the best thing we did tonight. Everything else wasn't that good. And I was just like, and we're talking about songs that we wrote. And I was like, oh
wow.
And he was like, send me that.
And I was like,
He
all
he
right,
probably
cool.
he probably does that at every audition though. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's his
That's
job.
that's his end. You know what I mean? He's like, you guys need me. You need me, right? You know?
Yeah.
Like he's not even planning on joining any bands. He just
Yeah, he just wants to have a good time. So,
Yeah.
so that's it. But I've never had any like really crazy like audition time other than that, you know?
Yeah.
Or I think one time this guy came and tried out for guitar and I blew out my knee and I was in a wheelchair.
oh god.
And I had been networking with them from Craigslist, the text message. And then when he showed up, he saw me in my wheelchair and it's like he hit a brick wall. And he was like, and I'm like, oh, what's up, dude? And it seemed like he wasn't feeling it. And it's like, he thought I was like, I don't know. I felt like he was super judging me.
Yeah.
And then like, after that, I hit him up because we kind of had a great jam session. And I tried to hit him up after and like, he didn't respond to none of my messages or anything, gave me the cold shoulder. And I was like, dang, dude. I'm like, what did he think of me? You know, but it's cool. It is what it is.
That reminds me of an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
Where like Dee like meets this dude who's like in the army. And when he comes, he's in a wheelchair. And she's like, oh shit, I don't want to talk to him. So she sends her friend. And then he gets up from the wheelchair. And she's like, what the fuck? You know, like whatever. You know? So it was one of those situations, man. You guys could have had something beautiful. Yeah.
It was one of those things. It's funny. It's cool though.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show, right? I mean, bands are really like are like just like dating. Every single thing about it is just like dating.
Yeah. First impressions.
Craigslist.
First impression's a big thing, right?
Yeah.
So
You know, I try not to be judgmental. We had a cat come and he had like this fucking purple ass mohawk, but he was like old enough to be my dad, dude. But I was like, you know what? I don't care about that. Like, let's see what you can bring to the table with your playing. You know, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
And that was lackluster too. So we were like, all right, it didn't work out. You know. But I wasn't about that first like judgment. You know, I'm not tripping on that. For me, it's about what you bring musically. You know what I mean? What your being is, what you're gonna bring to the table, to the band, to the dynamic. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a shame to hear that, man. That somebody did that. You know, just because he saw you in a wheelchair, it pisses me off, man.
Yeah.
It's cool. But yeah, I was like totally like, damn, I think he didn't like that I was in a wheelchair or anything. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And it's cool. I'm in my current situation with my boys and I'm happy now, so it's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
I got another question from Carlos, and this is pretty much for everybody. With your music, what would you like your audience to take away from? Like what type of message are you trying to put out there? What would you, if them reminiscing about your music, what would you most want them to think about?
I want them to think what they want to think. I feel like when I listen to a band I hear what the songs are about, whatever, you know, and I love it, but I try to find what I can relate to, and I try to make it like something bigger than, I don't know. I just want people to like, just relate to it and just be like, make it their own. It doesn't even have to be what I'm talking about, you know, in the lyrics, because, you know, a lot of times people don't really focus on that too. And I just want them to vibe out on it, if anything, you know? So,
yeah.
Right.
Kind of doesn't make sense. I want them to make their own stories to our music. That's what I want to say. If there's any way we can influence that, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah, kind of like create their own narrative when it comes to like listening to your music, like have it inspire their own soundtrack to their day or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. What about everybody else?
You know, for me, I would just say, just inspiration for the listener, right? I mean, I think music that I've listened to has really inspired me to go out and make my own music, right? So, you know, if people listen to our tracks and they think, man, you know what, I want to do that. You know, I want to go out and start making some music. I think that would be really cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
I know for me, I like kind of writing at somebody, you know, whether that's like a younger version of myself, kind of me thinking in retrospect of like how I could have approached something better, or how I could have made a situation better, or how to not make the same mistakes. You know what I mean? A lot of that. And that's what I hope people can take away from what I write. Like I've written about a lot of things that were maybe dark in my past or whatever. And I'm hoping people can maybe learn from that, or I don't know, maybe just feel like they're not alone in that, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I get you.
What about you, Rick? What you got?
I think I want stuff to be looked at as being timeless, being classic. You know, if it's relevant 10 years from now, 15 years from now, just something that's classic. You know, something that isn't going to be that would remind somebody of a really dark period of their life and they don't want to listen to it. I'd rather kind of pick up off of what Mike was saying. Something that's inspirational. Now, whether that means for them to pick up an instrument and learn, or try to write their own stuff, I think having something that isn't always just something that gets somebody out of like a dark space, you know, and they look fondly at that period in time. You know, it's like you think of like Foo Fighters and Times Like These. You know, it's like that's a classic song, and here it is getting played again in another version. But here it means something different for this generation. It's a classic song. You know, it's something that people look at, and you know, it kind of calls to that inner strength. You know, as an individual or as a community, whatever. That's the kind of stuff I like. You know, I'd rather be looked at as being a band that's just got a classic message. You know, come together, support, inspire, elevate.
There you go.
Yeah.
What about you, Zeekster?
I feel kind of the same way. Life is more than who we are and what we understand. So first and foremost, I try to relate to other people and try to put my own emotions. I try to understand what I'm feeling, and I do that through writing. So if other people dig it and it inspires them, that's what means a lot to me. So
There you go.
Guys,
Also,
I hate to. Oh, go ahead. I hate to be that guy. I think we have time for one more question, but we're probably gonna have to wrap in a few minutes. Just
all right. I got a question right here, Mr. Daniel. What is the craziest rock star story that happened to you before or after a show?
I don't have rock star stories. I have stories where like I remember we played a house party in Morgan Hill with our buddies from Soul Aggression, and it ended up being a buddy's birthday party. And then like I just remember we were just out there partying. I was only 18, and it was around my birthday, because I remember I was like, yeah, it's my birthday, man. So let me go to the store. I'll buy lotto tickets and cigarettes. You know, I want to do this kind of thing. So we did that and bought beer, and then went to the party to play. And I just remember like both bands played and the cops came, and I was already really twisted by then. And then like I'm just in the backyard hanging out, and like I don't remember this part, but someone was like, hey man, I got this house ranch in Hollister, bro. We can go back over there and let's fucking keep the party going, because the cops already came. And I was like, all right, let's fucking go. And then like little did I know, the people I came with I didn't leave with. And then like I went to this house party in Morgan Hill. In Hollister. I don't remember going there. And I just remember waking up in the morning, and I'm like, I'm in this big house, and I'm like, where the fuck am I? And then
Dude,
like
Hollister's a party town, man.
no, it's not. It's definitely not. And then I just remember like there's bodies on the ground, just a bunch of bodies. And then people are sleeping. And I remember just going out the front door and looking, and there's horses and cows and like pastures. And then I'm going through the bodies, I'm looking for people, and then I finally found my two friends. I'm like, oh, thank God, they came with me. We're okay. But
did I wake up in the Change in the House of Flies video? What the fuck is this? You know,
it was kind of like that, dude. It was kind of like that. It was like that. And then I just remember my buddies were like, oh yeah, because my buddies had a band, and you said you're gonna come. We came here and we told you that we have to record in the Santa Cruz Mountains on Saturday. So we're going to be in the mountains Saturday, and then we'll come back on Sunday. I was like, oh, shit, okay. So when they woke up, we went to the Santa Cruz Mountains, and their band had a recording session. And then mind you, me and these two guys are tight. When we got back home, our parents were all like, we're about to put a missing people's report out on you guys.
Oh shit.
Well, you were 18. You were still kids, you know?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
but it's like it just so happened that none of us had checked in with our parents or nothing. We just wrote it out till Sunday night, and then we're all busted. I mean, we're 18, but still all living at home, so we're all like, you know,
Yeah.
we caught something for it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. That's fucking awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Well, Daniel.
This-
Oh, go ahead, Ruben. Sorry.
I was going to say, it sounds like we're going to wrap. Do you have anything you want to plug? Anything where you could tell us where to find your music, where to find what you guys are doing, anything that's coming up, man?
Cool. Yeah, definitely. On any social, on any media platform, music platform, I would just put Aris and then the word canvas, and then our EP will show up. Because if you put Aris by itself, Ariana Grande will show up, and you'll
Yeah,
have
that's
to
not a
scroll-
bad thing.
That's
right?
a great thing, but you have to scroll down a million names until you get to us. So put in ARIS and then the word canvas, and then our EP should show up. And then same thing with our Instagram. It's Aris_music_. So that's it. And hopefully, once this is all over, we can have a show with you guys. And,
We would love to.
Yeah,
You
man,
know,
definitely.
that'd be great, guys.
Let me just add one more thing, man. I know as a kid, I was like just a little bit younger than you. So I used to really look up to you and like all the projects you did, man. So for me, it was super exciting to have you on with us tonight. I used to hang out at your practices and just literally just sit there and watch you guys do your magic back in the days, man. I go see you guys play at the club. So it's cool to see us all adulted out now. You know what I mean? Still doing this thing.
Yeah, like I said, the second run has been amazing, and all the relationships and friends we made at that time, we've lived a lifetime since then, and we're still friends. So, it's a great thing, and I appreciate all the connections and all the friends and everything I've made, and I love all you guys, man, and definitely thanks for letting me be on here with you guys, and hope to do this again sometime soon. Maybe I can get the guys from my band to start doing something like this. You guys are doing good things, man.
Please
so.
do. Please do.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Keep
Awesome,
up the good
man.
work, guys. Yeah.
All
Thank you,
right.
man.
Well, to Daniel Daniels, and also to the audience that is so gracious enough to watch us and to also chime in with comments and questions. Thank you very much. Hanging with the Friends is on every Thursday at 8:30 with a new guest. So we will see you next week.
Thank you,
All right.
Daniel.
Bubu-san.
All right, brothers. Peace out.
All right,
Later.
man. Late.
Later.